turned out not to be that bad, so that's good. Morning, Councillor Clough.
I need to declare an interest
Back in for item 12 if you want.
Clock. 2 minutes past for mine. Don't matter. Welcome to today's meeting, and I'll open by asking for apologies. I have apologies from Sandra Peake, whose disabled daughter is not well, and she apologises profusely for not being here. I have no urgent items of business. Any declarations of interest?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I will declare an interest in item 12
Item
and leave
12.
the room. And then separately, just so that you're aware, I do own property not too far from the piece of land that will be discussed in item 11. However, I've discussed it with our legal team and they've confirmed that there is no interest to declare.
Right, thanks, Liz. Any further interest? No. Now we'll move on to minutes. You find these on page 5, or beginning on page 5 through to 11. Are you happy that these are a true and correct record? That's seconded.
Councillor McGregor, second.
All in favour? Anyone against? That's carried. Is there anything that you want to raise on minutes? No? No? Right. Next one is matters referred from scrutiny. I have none. Budget and policy framework items. Equally, I have none. Non-key decisions. This is your ambition plan target performance update for the first quarter of this year. You find this between 12 and 24, and Duncan McGregor will speak on this. Duncan.
Thank you, Chair. The purpose of the report, colleagues, is to report the quarter 4 outturns for the Council's ambition targets 2020 to 2024. Out of the 31 targets, 61% are on track. 15% have been affected by COVID-19. 2, which is 6%, are achieved behind target date. 3% not achieved by 2021. And 13% achieved 2 targets previously achieved. And you will see, before I will move the recommendations at the appropriate time, but on page 15, you will see the reasons for the recommendations, which is starts on 3.1, 3.2. If there are any questions, the officer are more than willing to be able to answer any questions that a member has got. Thank you.
Any questions on this one? No questions. Anything to add by Kath? Is it Kath Drury? Because I can't see anybody on screen.
Yes. Thanks, Chair. So, Kath Drury, Information Engagement and Performance Manager. Just to reiterate what Councillor McGregor has said there, obviously it's a largely positive report with majority of targets either on track or been achieved. 5 have been affected by COVID, as rightly noted. Obviously, we'd expect that now to improve going forward. The fixed penalty notices, patrols have now started again, so we'll be reporting something more positive going forward on that. And also, obviously, the leisure ones, whilst they're still operating under restrictions, there's obviously going to be improvements on attendances. So more positive news to come through regarding the COVID-affected ones. And the one that's not been achieved for 2021 is Environment 08, which is to bring back 5 empty properties each year. As members are aware, this is a really challenging target. There's been lots of positive activity that's happened during the year, and 2 properties have been brought back, which have generated 7 units of accommodation. So there's still been some good stuff to report around that target, but it is quite a challenging one, and the council's working proactively with Action Housing, its partner, to look at other areas where they can bring properties back. It's also pleasing to note, as members will be aware, quite a few strategies have been adopted in this year. So the empty property strategy and the housing strategy. So obviously 2 key documents for the council, which will inform work programmes going forward. So generally a positive report with some good things in there. Just wanted to add those additional comments. Thanks, Chair.
Thanks, Chris. There's no further questions. Duncan, are you moving it, Duncan?
I would like to move the recommendation on page 12 that the quarterly outturns against the council's ambition 2024 targets on relevant service indicators be noted.
It's moved, is that seconded? Mary? All right. All in favour? That's carried. We'll move on. Local Government and Social Care Ombudsman decision. This is Duncan, but I think Sarah, is Sarah there? I can't see anybody. No? It's Anne Bedford, is it? Right, okay. Duncan, do you want to talk on this one, or do you want Anne to come straight in?
Let the
Anne?
Good morning, Chair. Anne Bedford, Customer Standards and Complaints Officer here. This report, purpose of it is to provide information in relation to decision by Local Government and Social Care Ombudsman. Also to ensure that the organisation is fair to all service users and to review procedures to prevent a similar situation happening again. This is quite an unusual one. It was about the new Bolsover regeneration scheme, in which the local government ombudsman exercised discretion where a matter could have conceivably been taken to court. It was quite complicated. Contractors working on our behalf had their own complaints procedure. But as the ombudsman says, you can contract out the service, but not the responsibility. There's a couple of criticisms in there. Officers not taking logs of all conversations, and also being criticised for not letting the complainants know that the air gap in the loft insulation could not be achieved. You'll be aware that we've had an officers review as well as a scrutiny review, and out of that we've tightened up the complaints procedure with regard to contracted out services. Would anybody like to ask any questions about this?
Is that it, Anne? Are you finished?
Well, the report is quite lengthy and I didn't really want to go through it bit by bit, but if anybody's got any questions, I'm happy to take those.
I shall inquire whether anyone's got any questions. Any questions? No? Oh, Mary.
Question, Chair. It's a sorry state really, but this doesn't reflect on our council. It reflects on one part that that never ought to have happened really, but I just want to say it don't reflect on us as a council or our workforce.
Thanks, Mary. Duncan?
Yeah, I'm pleased Mary has mentioned that because she's correct. It's a long report in terms of that. I did go through it. I looked at it as the portfolio holder. I think it is recognised that have been drawn to our attention, and the recommendation is that we would note the contents of that report. Yeah. It's not the end of the world, colleagues. There's some lessons to be learned by everybody. But I would perfectly wish now, sir, Chair, to move the recommendation on page 25. That's item 1.
Right, Mary seconded that. All in favour? That's carried. What it does serve to demonstrate, and not just this authority should take notice, but any other authority that contracts any service out to or puts any service out to contract, you don't get rid of your responsibility. So, you know, I think a lot of authorities need to recognise that. Right, we'll move on. External doors. This is normally Sandra. This is item 7 on your agenda, but as Sandra's not here, I'll move it and invite who's relevant officer. Is it you, Ian? Ian, you can speak on this.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, this report relates to the replacement of external doors from Bolsover District Council following the completion of the main contract. So this is for ad hoc doors. We undertook the procurement exercise and only received one response. who is a contractor we've worked with closely for a number of years. So I would move to the recommendations unless anybody has any questions.
You'd move them. I thought I'd already moved them. Ian.
Sorry,
Yeah,
Yeah,
Ian can't move them.
I know that.
You
Sorry,
can,
I've moved to.
and I can second them.
Perhaps, I mean, we need to have a training session. Right. It's been moved. Ian's explained it. Any questions to Ian?
One which I did ask last week. Sandra was going to look into it for me, wasn't she? Just on recommendation 2, delegated powers to the head of service. Can I just have clarity on who we actually mean by head of service on that recommendation, please?
Ian?
Yes, it'd be me, Councillor Watson, Head of Property Services and Housing Repairs.
With that clarification, any further questions? No more. It's been moved, it's been seconded, all in favour? That's carried. Move on to exclusion of the public. You want to move this one, Duncan?
Yes, I will move the exclusion of the public under the section 100A, item 4 of the Local Government Act 1972.
And you can see why. I'll second that. So all in favour? Anyone against? No, that's carried. Next one is, has everybody